Many of the Suikoden video requests I receive from you guys are about characters, factions, nations, or topics that almost no lore exists on. And if I was to make videos on those topics, most of them would be between 1 to 3 minutes long, which is why I've been hesitant to make them. But I've been thinking about it and I'm going to test the waters with this video about the Maximillian Knights. We'll call these shorter videos Suikoden lore stripped or something. These will mostly be short 2 to 3 minute small scale videos with minimal editing that focus on topics where very little lore exists. These will just be small lore videos to fill the gaps between the larger, more detailed lore videos. If you guys end up liking it, I'll make more. If not, I'll just focus on the larger lore videos. The Maximillian Knights. The Maximillian Knights were a knightly order established by their namesake Maximilian in the Scarlet Moon Empire. The exact date of their establishment is unknown, but they appear to have been active around the 420s to mid-430s. As the Maximillian Knights were not an official organisation, records of their deeds are largely unknown, but it appears that they aided the Scarlet Moon Empire in battles they deemed to be just. The Maximillian Knights prided themselves on being champions of justice and dedicated themselves to the eradication of evil, which would lead to them becoming a highly respected knightly order. The order's strong sense of justice and chivalric ideals may come from Gary, a veteran of the Island Liberation War. The emblem on Gary's amulet is the very same as the emblem of the Maximillian Knights, indicating that Maximilian may be a descendant of his and that his sense of justice runs in the family. The Maximillian Knights were disbanded by imperial authorities after the Knights, without permission from the Scarlet Moon Empire, rushed to the aid of the city-states of Joustin when they were invaded by the Highland Kingdom. The exact date of this event isn't given, but based on Maximilian's age and the known timeline, the only conflict this could be in reference to is the war that took place between the solar year 428 to 434. While the Maximilian Knights weren't officially part of the Scarlet Moon Empire or the Imperial Army, the optics of a knightly order based in their nation involving themselves in the affair of other nations led to imperial officials becoming fearful of political repercussions and would order the Maximilian Knights to disband. Despite his order being disbanded, Maximilian's sense of justice would remain as strong as ever, and he would continue upholding the beliefs of the Maximillian Knights, battling evil and injustice wherever he went. Following his order's disbandment, the Scarlet Moon Empire would soon begin to rot from within as the nation would slowly become more and more corrupt over the next 20 years. Isabel, the daughter of a Maximilian Knight, aspired to follow in her father's footsteps and wished to join the knightly order when she grew up. Despite the Knights being disbanded when she was a young teen, Isabel would declare herself a Maximilian Knight and set out with her companion Matthias to rid the world of evil, just as her father before her had done. In the solar year 449, Isabel and Matthias travelled to the Queendom of Falena at the request of Yoram Barrows during the Sunrune War, who informed them that the prince in his wickedness had betrayed the Barrows family. Uncovering the truth about what happened, realizing the prince's cause was just and that he was trying to free his country and his sister from the grasp of corrupt nobles, Isabel and Matthias would align themselves with the prince for the duration of the Sunrune War. Following the Sunrune War, Isabel and Matthias travelled to the New Arma's kingdom at the request of King Jallet as he sought their aid in rooting out corruption in the nation's leadership. 6 years later, Maximilian, along with his squire Sancho, would join the Liberation Army in their battle against the now corrupt Scarlet Moon Empire. Even now, roughly 20 years after his order's dissolution, Maximilian was still greatly admired by his former knights, and as word spread of Maximilian joining the Liberation Army, over 1,200 former knights would rush to the Liberation Army's cause. With the Liberation Army victorious and the corrupt Scarlet Moon Empire overthrown, Maximilian would retire from his life as a knight. But 3 years later, in the solar year 460, Maximilian would come out of retirement when word reached him of the atrocities being committed by the Highland Army against the people of the city-states of Joustin. Just as he had done 30 years ago, Maximilian would ride to the aid of the city-states of Joustin in their war against Thailand as he joined up with the new Alliance army during the Dunan Unification War. Maximilian, who was now in his mid-60s and his skills were diminishing with age, was determined not to be shown up by the young soldiers of the new Alliance army. The presence of so many young fighters rejuvenated the veteran knight, and he would go on to impress everyone with his skill in battle. Following the Dunan Unification War and the collapse of Highland, Maximilian would finally lay down his sword and retire. 15 years later, in the solar year 475, Fred, the grandson of Maximilian, would follow in his grandfather's footsteps and took over the mantle of leadership of the Maximilian Knights. The Maximilian Knights, now only numbering 2 people, Fred and his squire Rico, would set out to rid the world of evil. Travelling through the grasslands during the War of the Champions, Fred deemed the Harmonian invasion of the grasslands to be an act of evil and joined the Firebringer in their war against Harmonia. Following the war, Fred would once again set out in search of evil. At this point in time, the Maximilian Knights consist only of Fred and Rico, but Fred wishes to restore the Knights to the glory they once had under his grandfather's leadership, and is always on the lookout for new knights who wish to join him. It's possible that we may in the future see the Maximilian Knights restored to their former glory under the leadership of Fred. And that's it for the story of the Maximilian Knights. If you like these shorter, stripped down videos covering topics which very little lore exists on, let me know in the comments below and I'll make more of them. If not, I'll just focus on the larger lore videos. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.